So everybody come into a comfortable seat and we'll settle into this morning yoga class. Tune into your fluid breath. And I'd like you to tell me after class if you like this time for this class, because I think some people have been wondering if we could put it where the other classes are at 9 a.m. instead of 10. So if any of you are really wedded to staying at 10 o'clock, I want you to just feel free to let me know. All right, let's settle into this comfortable seat and let your spine sway slightly forward to back. Remember, you can be on a chair, a block, a bolster. Most of us will want to have our pelvis lifted so that we can maintain a neutral lumbar, thoracic, and cervical curve. And as we rock, we just gently turn on the front abdominal core. We feel and recognize where we are in space. And we activate a parasympathetic nervous system response by rocking. You can stay with this front to back rocking, or you can just feel for a moment side to side, like you're a tree swaying in the breeze. And just notice how your weight shifts on your pelvis and how your spine and shoulders move as you sway. And ask yourself, can I become effortless, relaxed? Or are there catches in the movement? And if there are, that's okay. We don't want to feel bad about ourselves or the fabric of our bodies. We just notice, turning our gaze inward. We turn our senses inward to get to know ourselves better, the practice of pratyahara. And then we come to stillness at the center. And we feel for a level pubic bone and tailbone that are even with each other, front and back of the pelvic floor. Even weight side to side on the sit bones. And we tune into a fluid breath. And without demanding too big of a breath that causes tension, we invite the breath deep into the body. We soften the skin in the superficial fascia so that we feel it expand on the inhales and relax on the exhales. And then we gently lower our head into the pond in front of us like a swan. And then we curl back and we roll the neck long on top of the shoulder girdle and rest the head at the apex of the spine. Fluid, three-dimensional breath continues. And on the inhale, feel for the spine elongating gently. On the exhale, relax and feel the spring action of the spine as it releases. And then inhale, the spine lengthens. And exhale, it releases. Really, the spine is always in motion. And if it isn't, it's inhibited by tissue that for some reason has been tightened or strained or injured. So we breathe ourselves back towards this fluid, elastic fabric around the spine. Now let your eyes, even though they're closed, roll up to look towards the sky. And invite the breath down deep into the body and feel for the whole circumference of the diaphragm expanding on the inhales. Feel for the diaphragm ballooning gently down into the abdomen and low back. And when you exhale, feel the diaphragm rise up under the lungs, helping you to expel the air. Let your consciousness rest on this moving diaphragm. We've used many visualizations of ways to see the diaphragm, from a drum skin that slowly moves down and up with your breath, to a manta ray swimming in the ocean, its body rising and falling with your breath. Let the movement be watery and expansive. And feel how the movement can ripple through the fabric of your body down into the low back and up the spine towards the collar. And imagine that the collar is driftwood floating on the top of the ocean, and invite the collar to float. Feel for it rising up the wave of the inhale and releasing on the wave of the exhale. And let the fabric stretch open on the inhale and relax on the exhale. And visualize how this movement that can float your bones is also floating the organs in your abdomen, gently pulsing the lymph passageways. And my invitation to you is several times today, stop, notice your breath, notice how your spine lengthens and relaxes, notice how your diaphragm moves. And the eyes now rolling down to look towards the ground. Feel for the breath expanding the umbrella of your rib cage. The gaze, the drishti with the eyes, can help you direct the breath in your body. This direction can help you open the tissue. Let your eyes rest back to center. And then with eyes still closed, let the eyeballs roll to the left corners of your eyes. And feel for your inhale in your right chest. Keep looking out the corners of your eyes. You're stretching the tissue that connects your eyes to your suboccipital muscles. Come back to center. And then let the eyes roll to the right corners. And feel the breath fill the left side body. Feel how the breath can stretch you open from the inside as you practice dharana concentration. Keep the eyes reaching towards the right corners. Expand the left ribs with your breath. And gently come back to center. Eyes rolling up one more time. Feel for the movement of the diaphragm. Feel for the movement of the diaphragm, stretching tissue around the spine. Bring your hands up to your heart. Thumbs resting against your sternum, eyes back to center. Breathe a lift to the sternum, pressing the sternum into your thumbs. Root the tailbone, lift the low back ribs. And with your breath, lift the sternum a little more. Let the head rest back. Let the heart lift. Shoulder blades can come onto the back body, stretching across your collar. Lengthen through the crown, keeping the back body strong. Feel how the breath moves tissue inside of you. Again, look up under the eyebrows, letting the breath help you stretch the umbrella of the rib cage. And then exhale, back to neutral, bowing your head. Let's keep deep concentration today, Dharana, as we move through our practice. Namaste. Okay, let's come up to standing. And let's begin with a little fluid movement to allow for fascial opening. Swaying gently from side to side. Stay with your breath, because the breath itself can help us become grounded. I had 2 mallards on my pond this morning. They're not there anymore. Now roll the shoulder that you're stretching. Just roll it up, back, and down, just lightly. In doing this, we invite a gentle stretch of the rotator cuff. Don't take it even into your fullest range of motion. Let it just be really gentle. Because sometimes the body will open more fully for us if we're gentle. We're learning this from Qigong. Now you can take your elbows just out to the side, relaxing across the collar, rocking side to side, point the opposite toe so that you get fascial stretch. Now, some of you may stay here side to side. What you want to feel is that there's room around the head of the humerus bone so that you're not pinching any of your rotator cuff muscles if you take the elbows higher. So you can stay low or right at the horizon, or you can lift. But feel into what's right for your arm bones. Think of the humerus bones also as driftwood, and you want them to be floating, even though they're part of a joint. You want space around the bone. And then maybe you reach the arm long, and if that doesn't feel good, you don't do it. Stay with the motion that feels right, and you might do one thing on one side and one thing on the other. Fluid breath. And let the arms come down and the feet come wide. And let your knees bend and the arms come up into your cactus. Now the elbows could be held low here. You could even be doing this right here. Okay, because this is still external rotation of the arm bone. This still is going to work your rotator cuff muscles. Oops, I just got a weird block in the middle of my screen. I'll move it in a second. Or you could bring it up. Feel it as your arms being a W. How does that feel? In your collar, your shoulder blade should be moving around the rib cage when the pinkies come together and back. The subscapularis is under the shoulder blade, between the shoulder blade and ribs. You may feel a little stretch there. Some of you may come up to humerus bone parallel with the floor. Let me move this box. Keep going. Just warming up the tissue. And then hold the arms here and stretch the hands out, spreading your fingers, and gently circle the arms. And just feel for a gentle stretch. You can bring the palms as flat as you can. Remember that movie, The Karate Kid? Wax on, and then turn it the other way and wax off. We're doing two cars, one on each hand. And then release the arms. And place your left hand on your femur and just bring the right arm up and let it gently stretch and extend. Fluid breath. Don't force it into tissue in the upper joint. You may play with lifting the heart and bowing the heart towards earth. And lifting the heart and bowing the heart. Stay aware of the right knee not following the twist. And then float to the other side. Reaching the arm, root the left sit bone, and float the heart towards earth and towards the heavens. Maybe you expand across the collar. Let this be your own exploration in your body for a moment. Feeling into where your body wants the stretch. Asks for the stretch, and make sure you're not overriding messages from your body that say, ouch, that hurts, please stop. And then float back up. And let yourself twist gently to the left and right with your arms low. They can be just above the legs. Releasing the shoulders. Izzy's got her moose. Fluid breath. And then gently straighten the legs and step the legs in and let the arms continue to swing. Letting go the arms out of the shoulder socket. Can you lengthen through the crown? Feel your breath. And you can stay with this tractioning or let the front hand come up and tap the lung, the back hand come up and tap the kidney, knocking on the door of life. Fluid breath. Inviting energy to flow in the body. We let go of the arms and let them swing. And come back gently to center. And float to one side and the other. The side we're floating towards, the arm lifts out to the side. And imagine there's a wind lifting you from beneath. See if you can lift up onto the ball mount of the foot you're flying towards. And let the biotensegrity of your body bounce you gently back and forth. Because we are a whole fabric. Let the whole fabric of the body work. And then let the feet land. Let the arms float up, wrists first. Let the wrists come down first. Let the hands float. Elbows are soft. We're just working with the tissue of the arms, letting it open and release. Fluid breath. Imagine the bones in your hands are floating away from each other. They're spreading out so there's space in the joints. Feel for inviting that space in the joints. And the next time you come up towards the horizon, turn your palms up and bring in your pinky, ring, middle, index finger, and then thumbs across the top, and turn your knuckles skyward. And then turn your knuckles earthward. And turn them skyward, and turn them earthward, and feel how you can stretch the forearm fascia. And then take your arms out to the sides, knuckles earthward. Turn them skyward and release thumb, index, middle, ring, pinky fingers. Turn the palms out again and circle. So getting to know the tissue in the arms, circle the arms forward. And release. Step in, lifting the arms skyward. Stretch the left foot down into earth, left hand towards the sky, and pause there. Imagine you can hold onto a bar overhead and then let the body dangle from that arm. So imagine you're holding a bar, let your knees become soft, let your pelvis become heavy, hang down away from the hand, and then reach the right arm skyward. Lift up, hold on to the tree branch if you like. Let the shoulder and the hip release away. Reach up with both hands. Hold on to the bar, release the pelvis. Let the spine lengthen and lift up and release your arms and gently roll the shoulders. And pause for a moment in mountain pose. Eyes closed. Look out the eyes on the back of your head. And simultaneously roll your front eyes up towards the sky. Feel the back body as you feel the diaphragm moving. Feel for the back of the diaphragm moving. This will help us open the low back. Bending the knees, bring your hands down your femur bones so that you come forward in a kind of Utkatasana pose with your hands supporting your weight, and cat curl the spine. Release the head and breathe into the low back. Expand the low back with the breath. Now, come into your cow pose, still lengthening the back of the neck. Stretch the whole front side of the body. Release the collars wide. Lengthen the neck out of your turtle shell. Continue to breathe. Lengthen the sides of the spine. Don't let them bunch up. And release. Hands to your heart. Utkatasana. Long spine. Strengthening the legs. Now, this is a very safe, my headset. This is a very safe place to practice strengthening your quads. Release your arms and let them swing. Really try to let the head of the arm bone release out of the shoulder girdle. We want to bring fluid motion and blood into the shoulders. And then inhale, rooting the feet, reach towards the sky, interlace the fingers, bring the thumbs to the base of the skull. Your pelvis stays steady, pubic bone and tailbone level. Elbows wrap forward as you rest your head back. Rooting the tailbone, lift the base of the skull. Rooting the tailbone, lift your low back rib ring, your mid-chest ring, the base of the skull. The spine is center to healthy shoulders and hips. Root down from the outer hips to the outer heel. From the outer shoulder blade, lengthen up to the elbow, release the collar, lengthen the back of the neck, and then exhale, release into mountain pose. Okay, let's come into some sun salutations today. You can use blocks or the chair. I used blocks on Tuesday, I'll use the chair today. You choose what feels right for you. I'll have everybody bring in the chair a little later. Let's inhale and reach for the sky. Exhale, Utkatasana, fierce pose. Let your hands come down to the seat of the chair. Inhale, lift the heart into your cow pose. Exhale, lowering the tail, lowering the crown, lift your spine into hissing cat pose. Isometrically, gently press the hands away from the feet and breathe into the low back. A few fluid breaths using the diaphragm. Relaxing on the exhales into the stretch. Come into your neutral spine. Neutral spine, crown really reaching away from tail, float one leg up behind you. Now you could be on fingertips here, not much weight on your wrists. Fluid breath, toes point towards the floor. And release the toes back down and lift up the other leg. We're moving towards Virabhadrasana 3. Feel into extending from crown to heel, but keep your pelvis hugged in at the banks of your river so you're stable. And then lower the lifted foot. Bend the knees, heels under sit bones, hands to the heart, Utkatasana. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Keeping the knees right where they are, exhale, gently twist one direction. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, gently twist the other direction. Just a little twist in the spine. Fluid breath, hydrating the discs. Gently twisting one way and then twisting the other. Let's do one more set. Inhaling center. Exhaling the twist. Inhaling center, your own pace. Exhaling the twist. And when you come back to center, set your hands on the chair. Inhale your cow. Pause in your cow for a moment. Make sure you're lengthening the neck out of the shoulders. Lengthen the sides of the spine. Take the hips a little farther away from the armpits. And then exhale, lifting navel, lift the spine. Release the tail and head. Hissing cat. Or if you prefer, think of a rainbow. Lifting up. Let the skin of the back body lift away from the earth. Let it lift the subfascial layer. Let it lift other layers of the rainbow skyward. Breathe into it. Let the fabric of your body become light and airy. And then float back into neutral. And float your right foot up behind you. Release the left hand from the seat of the chair. Float the left shoulder blade onto your back. Now you're beginning to use your myofascial slings, strengthening from the left shoulder blade to the right buttock. Lengthen the front of your spine even through the neck, toes pointing towards the earth. Maybe you come to the fingertips of the right hand. Maybe you float the hand off, the right hand off, and it also becomes a wing, right shoulder blade on the back. Maybe you bring the arms up alongside the ears. And then the hands come down, the foot comes down, and we inhale our cow. And we exhale our hissing cat, releasing the head, releasing the tail. We come back into a long neutral and float up the left heel and lengthen through the left crown. And if we like to, we release the right hand. Float the right shoulder blade onto the back. Again, we feel into lengthening the sides of the spine even through the neck. We feel for that left shoulder blade firm on the back ribs. Maybe we come to the right fingertips. Maybe we float the right shoulder blade onto the back. And maybe we bring the arms up beside the ears. Whatever works best for you. Fluid breath. Beautiful. And then bring your hands back to the chair, your foot back to the floor. And inhale your cow pose. Pause. Lengthen the sides of your spine. And then exhale. Tailbone revolves under, head releases. Come into your rainbow. Let the knees bend. Take your pelvis away from your shoulders. Breathe into the upper back body. Fluid breath. And then bring arms over shoulders, spine in neutral. Step back, plank. Fluid breath. Broad across your shoulder girdle. You can roll across your toe hinges. Fluid breath. And then step your right foot forward, lowering your left heel, and let yourself inhale, opening up into your Virabhadrasana 1. Stretch your side bodies long. Exhale, let the arms come wide, shoulder blades on the back, palms facing the earth, thumbs out, humble warrior. Pause here and hug in the banks of your river. Lengthen the spine. And invite the breath deep towards your diaphragm. If you can, without shortening the neck, Look up under your eyebrows. Roll your eyes towards the top of your skull. They can be open to keep your balance, but feel how that can help you draw the breath deep to the diaphragm. And then inhale, float your arms up, reaching skyward, stretching the myofascia of the bottom. Relax the shoulders. Let the neck bobble a little. Find ease in the neck. Lift the soft groin of the back leg back into the body. Don't drop the femur bone forward. And release your hands back to the seat of the chair. Step back plank. This time, roll back, downward dog. Bending the knees, stretch back from the hands to the hip creases. Fluid breath into the whole length of the spine. Float the left foot forward. Lowering the right heel. Lift your arms, Virabhadrasana 1. Now check right here that you're releasing the right hip bone back into the hip socket. You're not dropping it forward. Fluid breath as you release the back of the collar and invite in a deep inhale. Even here, you can practice rolling your eyes up towards the sky, inviting the breath deep into the back of the diaphragm. Feel for the diaphragm moving. And then exhale, fold forward, humble warrior. In some of the literature I've read, the gaze upward is the first gaze people lose often as they get older. So we're practicing it, partly because it also helps us open our breath deeper into the torso. But it's also just a good practice to keep the eyes moving. Let's inhale, reach the arms skyward, lifting and lengthening. And exhale, fold into humble warrior. And remember, you could be doing this with your arms just coming to parallel, opening out like wings, folding down by your hips. And then they don't have to go through the full range of motion. Don't force the range of motion. You can be anywhere along the range. Inhaling, let the bones float away as you lift into one more Virabhadrasana 1, rolling the eyes up towards the sky, breathing deep into the diaphragm. And exhale, hands to the chair. Step back, plank. Or to the blocks, sorry. Come into your plank and roll over your toes. And then roll back into your downward dog, knees bent. Spine tractioning long as the pelvis reaches back behind you. Hands onto the outer edges of the chair so you have enough space in your shoulder girdle. And then maybe you lengthen the legs out. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. And we step forward. Heels under sit bones, second metatarsals aligned, Utkatasana. Feeling into the strength in the femur bones. Now you can stay here on both legs, or you can float up to one toe and lift that toe off the floor, working on strengthening side to side. Releasing that toe, floating up onto the other toe, keeping the pelvis level as you lift the knee, building strength in each leg independently. We release the arms and let them swing. And swing your hands up to the sky, interlace them the funny way, other finger forward, elbows forward, thumbs to the base of the skull, and lift. Rest your head back. Don't throw your pelvis forward or lock your knees or flare your ribs. Let the opening come in the upper spine. Fluid breath as you traction the head behind you. Rolling the eyes skyward, breathing deep into the diaphragm. Where the intention goes, the energy flows. Release your arms if you'd like to. Lengthen them. Let each finger float skyward. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Mountain pose. Fluid breath. Okay, let's move the chair out of the way today and come to a wall with your arm parallel to the floor, thumb skyward. And I just want us to remember to feel into the myofascial tissue that connects the arm into the torso. So you're just going to isometrically, without moving the hand, energetically draw it down the wall and feel what happens around the shoulder blade. And then energetically push it up the wall. And then energetically push it forward and energetically push it back. This is all to help you get aware, concentrate on the tissue around your shoulder as you pull down, press up, press forward, press back. And one more time, press down. As you're pressing down, lengthen the spine skyward. Bring your inside hand to the hip. Hug in the banks of your river, press the hip down, lengthen the spine. Fluid breath. And float that inside arm up towards the sky if you'd like to, and rainbow it over towards the wall. Fluid breath. Reaching the fingers, the bones out in the sockets. Now, if lifting the arm this way doesn't feel right, lift the arm out front. Imagine there's a wind under it lifting you into the side bend. And then exhale, come back to neutral. Take the hand, the next hand to the wall. Isometrically draw the hand down as you're standing tall. Hug in the banks of your river. Around your pelvis, check in that you're not hyperextended knees. Press the hand skyward. Feel what activates. Notice how the other side of your body may also activate. How are the feet handling the motion? Press the hand forward. Notice what happens in both feet. Feel the fabric of the body, how interconnected it is. Draw the hand isometrically back towards the pinky. And one more time, down towards the earth, lengthening the neck out of the collar. Feel into the tissue of the arm, the shoulder. Bring your inside hand to the hip, press down. Tailbone and pubic bone rooting, lengthen the spine. Lift your rib ring, your chest ring, and if you'd like to, float your arm up and over. A fluid breath. Extending the fingers, lengthening the spine, not just collapsing towards the wall, using the isometric down with the hand to help you lengthen. And release. Face the wall. Fingers at shoulder height. Isometrically draw down the wall again. Broaden across the collar and draw down the back of the collar. Lengthen the back of the neck. Stay here for a few deep breaths, letting your eyes roll towards earth. Invite the breath up into the upper rib cage. Feel for it expanding even in the back body. Isometrically, strongly drawing down, making sure you're not over-efforting at the knees or throwing the pelvis. Begin to lift the sternum, lift the heart center. Shoulder blades firm on the back. Let the front chest open. Let the back be supported behind you as you lift the heart. Don't collapse at the low back ribs. Lift the low back ribs. Lift the center of the back of the chest. Lift the base of the skull. And release. Lift your hands high on the wall. Fingers wider than the shoulders. Lift onto the balls of your feet and release your heels. As you release your heels, breathe space between each vertebrae. Even breathe space into the fabric of the shoulders. Lift up again and slowly lower the heels. then walk back. Coming again onto fingertips in your half dog. Float one leg up behind you. See if you can float the fingers off the wall. Fluid breath. Conscious of the upper body and how it connects into the lower body. Release the lifted foot. Take the other foot behind you and up. Lengthening the torso. Fluid breath. Fingertips floating off the wall if you can. Release the foot. And come to standing with your back at the wall. Humerus bones pressing back. Robot arms. Root into the four corners of your feet. Lift your toes, lift your arches. Relax your toes. Pressing down into earth. Take an inhale. Feel the inhale move up the length of your spine. Exhale, relax back into the wall with the heads of your arm bones. Inhale up the length of your spine. Exhale, broaden across the shoulder girdle, pressing the head of the arm bones back. They don't have to touch the wall. We're just broadening the front chest, asking the tissue to open. Check in with your knees. Root down into the four corners of each foot. Lift your navel ring, your low rib ring, your collar, your crown. Release your hands down, fingernails to the wall, and lean forward, prow of the ship. Coming forward, open your heart. Root the tailbone down, lift through your crown. Fluid breath. Root the backs of your heels, the tailbone. Lift the low back ribs, the center chest ribs, the base of the skull. And release off the wall and walk back to your center mat. And pause in mountain pose. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. Okay, let's bring the chair into the right side of the mat. And let's bring one block on top of the chair. And stab our feet wide, coming into Trikonasana. So I have the chair to my left. I'm going to turn my left foot out and open my arms. I am mirroring you here. Fluid breath. Now, can you feel across your collar and out your arm bones? And begin to side tilt towards your high Trikonasana and just lightly rest your fingers on the block. So you may move it a little wider if you need to. Yep, that looks good, Karen. Fluid breath. We're keeping this side body long, this left side body. So you may press down into your fingertips to draw the block towards your body isometrically. That'll help you lengthen this side. We want to keep it long and strong. Shoulder blades firmly on the back. And then bend the front knee lightly. Without taking the wrist farther back and popping the head of the arm bone forward, stretch across your front chest and gently twist a little bit skyward. Fluid breath. And then come back to neutral. Come back to your high Trikonasana, pressing your fingertips into the blocks, drawing the block towards you. Keep aware of that left side body and float back up. Star pose. And release your arms and roll your shoulders. One more time, float your arms up. This time, you may not want the block. You may want to come down a little farther. Creasing at the hinging at the hip crease. Come down. Hand to your block or hand to your chair seat. Again, isometrically, draw the hand towards your hip. It'll wake up your tricep. It'll wake up your left side body muscles and the muscles around your lower shoulder blade. Take a few fluid breaths. Check in that you're not locking knees. And if you'd like, let your gaze and your heart turn slightly skyward. But remember, you're taking the arm back from the shoulder, not the wrist. And then come back up and float back up and turn the left leg in and step together, mountain pose. And just feel what happens in your body after one side. So interesting, isn't it? Fluid breath. And then let's take the chair to the other side. Oops, sorry. I'm teaching a live spine workshop this weekend at the South Yuba Club. And then in a few weeks, I'm going to teach one on the shoulders, head, neck, upper spine. So I'm preparing for those. And as I do, I'm realizing we need to be aware of this fascial tissue all around the shoulder, the neck, the back. And a lot of us aren't awake to it. So we float the arms up. Let this be an awakening. The concentration focused on the upper body today. We know how to root the legs, to lengthen the spine, to begin to cartwheel. Keep the space between your vertebrae. Bring your fingertips to the blocks, not about getting low. Draw the block isometrically towards you to wake up this tissue around your shoulder blade and in your side body. Fluid breath. As you draw the block isometrically towards you, you lengthen the right side body. I hope you're feeling that. Fluid breath. Check in with rooting from the pelvis down so you can lengthen the spine even more through the crown. Ask yourself, is my head in line with the rest of my spine? And then float back up and release your arms and let them roll. And then float the arms wide again. And rooting into the low body, lengthen the spine. And again, hinge from that hip crease. Right side body stays long and supportive as you bring your fingertips either to the block or the seat of the chair. And you isometrically draw the right fingertips toward your body, lengthening the right side, waking up the muscles of the shoulder blade and armpit. Feel it. It should be active work in the upper body. Make sure you're not dropping the top shoulder forward. Get the shoulder blade onto your back, even if that means coming a little higher out of the pose. Beautiful. One more breath. And then exhale, float yourselves back up to standing. Turn the right leg in and step together, mountain pose. Release your fingers, release your palms, your wrists, let them shake a little. Release the elbows. It's all interconnected. Tight hands, tight shoulders. And then rest. Let the bones traction away from the collar. Inhale, lift your arms skyward. Interlace your fingers, thumbs to the base of the skull, elbows forward. Lift the base of the skull, lift the elbows, rest your head back. Traction the skull away from the rib cage. Root down into the four corners of your feet. Lift your toes, lift your arches. Relax your toes. Roll your eyes up towards the sky or up towards the crown of the head and continue breathing deep into the diaphragm. And exhale, back up to standing and release. Fluid breath. Okay, like Tuesday, let's now bring the chair to the wall if you like to use that. And we'll do Padangusthasana and a few twists before we come to the floor. The floor, I think we'll do a few heart openers today. So to begin with, let's step the right foot up onto the seat of the chair and bring your hands to your heart. Broad across your collar, shoulder blades strong on the back. We're going to exhale and begin twisting to the right, towards the right lifted leg. And bring the back of the left hand across the right knee and open the right arm behind us. Root down into your heel of the standing leg and lift the base of your skull. This will help you keep your ribs in line with your hip. Fluid breath. That's right, Jory. And then twist towards that lifted leg. Yeah, there you go. Fluid breath. Broad across the shoulder girdle. Now, if it's possible here, let your eyes look out the right corners and breathe deep into your left chest. Feel aware of the fascial fabric around your arms, up the whole spine, in the left rib cage. Eyes still looking out the corners. Guess it's your right corners. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Step down, mountain pose. As you're ready, step the left foot onto the chair. Inhale, reach your arms towards the sky, rooting the right foot down, lengthen through the fingertips. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, feel the spine lengthen. Exhale, slowly twist to the left, bringing the back of the left hand across your leg, opening the right arm, broadening your back body, even as the shoulder blades stay strong on the ribs. Take your eyes to the far corners, into the twist, the left corners. Breathe into the right lung. Fluid breath. Notice if the eyes move more easily on one side than the other. One side of your suboccipital muscle group might be tighter. And then exhale, release back around. Step down, mountain. Roll your shoulders. Close the eyes on the front of your head. Look out the eyes on the back of your head. Imagine a nose on the back of your head and begin to draw a circle with that nose. Let the circle get a little bigger. Invite it to release the muscles up under your occiput. And then take your circles the other way. Really trying to circle the head from the back of the skull. This will help us build our proprioception, feeling out from our back bodies. And then pause your circles. Let your head float up off the neck. Your shoulders relax. Palms turn forward. Head of the arm bones externally rotating. Root your tail and lift the heart. And relax the collar. And root your pubic bone and tail and lift the heart. Lifting the low back rib ring while you lift the heart. Lift the base of the skull. Now let your arms widen a little bit, expand, and lift your heart skyward. Keep rooting the tail. Lift the low rib ring, lift the heart, lift the base of the skull. Open the front chest. Now let your eyes turn earthward. Breathe up into the umbrella of your rib cage. Let the bones float. And then exhale, release into neutral. Now you can do the same exercise we just did, stepping your foot onto the chair. Or you can have a long leg, heel on the chair, or heel on a block on the chair. Or step your right foot onto the back of the chair, Padangusthasana. So you choose what's right for you. Letting your arms dangle down by your sides. Feel for your shoulder blades on your back body. Now here, can you still bring your tailbone and pubic bone into rooting action, even though you have a lifted leg? Hug in the banks of your river and float your arms skyward, stretching the whole myofascial fabric of the body as you exhale, hands to the heart. And inhale, feel the spine lengthen with the breath. Exhale, twisting towards the lifted right leg. Bring the back of the left hand across and the right arm open, stretching your wings. Releasing the back of the collar, stretching the back of the neck. Can you breathe into the fabric of your abdomen and invite the organs to move, the intestines to move? Can you breathe into the low back and invite the kidneys to move with the breath? Let your eyes, if they can, look out the corners. And then exhale back to center, softening the knees and stepping down. Pause for a moment in mountain. These standing, twisting, Padangusthasana poses are really healthy for your organs, for your insides, because it stretches the fascia in the twist. Step up with your next side, left leg, grounding through both legs. Pubic bone, tailbone ground. Banks of your river hug in, arms lift skyward. Root the tail, lift the base of the skull. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, feel the ripple of the spine lengthening. Exhale, twist towards the lifted leg, bringing the back of the right hand across the leg and the left arm open, spreading across the wings of your collarbones. Breathing deep into the pelvis, trying not to hitch the left leg sit bone. Fluid breath as you look out the far left corners of your eyes. And then exhale. Slowly back around, knees soft. And step down and pause in mountain pose. Close the eyes on the front of your head, open the eyes on the back of your head, and draw a circle with your nose. Take your circles the other way. And now that we've really developed awareness throughout the fabric of this body, let's come into one half moon pose. We've really awakened the side bodies and the arms today. So you can stay in the center of the room or you can move to the wall. You could use the chair or you could use a block. Okay? So whatever you choose, remember that you want to keep space between your hips and your armpits as you float up. So you could be here, fingertips on the chair. That may be easier for the arms as they come into your wingspan. Okay? You could have the block. Come to the block. You could be against the wall. It's your choice where you want to do it. Okay? Now remember, when you come up, you want to keep the standing leg pointing straight ahead. You don't want it to turn towards the long side of your mat. And you want your wrist under your shoulder, not back by your hip. Fluid breath. And please use a wall. If you haven't been doing it, it's fine to use a wall or a piece of furniture. Fluid breath. Now, we learned where all our limbs were in space. You were feeling out your legs in the last pose, out your arms in the Trikonasana. So as you come up, feel into all limbs. Shine out like a starfish from your center core, through your heels, through your crown. Feel the strength of your shoulder blades on the back body. Yes, and then bring your top hand back to your hip. And bend the standing knee and float yourself out of the pose. Beautiful. Let's take it to the other side. Dharana, concentration, helps us build awareness throughout the body, building our proprioception for balance. So you've built that awareness now. As you lift into your Ardha Chandrasana on this side, root into your four corners of your standing foot, establish your connection to the ground, your roots. And then open the arm as you're ready. But don't forget about that back leg. Still shine out of that back leg, bringing your shoulders strong onto the back body. They're part of your grounding. Fluid breath. Beautiful poses, everyone. Hand back to your hip. Slowly bend the knee and float out of the pose. Pausing in your mountain pose. Very nicely done. Fluid breath. We build consciousness. Dharana, concentration, helps us to do that. Okay, let's come to the floor with our bolster and our yoga strap. And yoga blocks and your blankets, a pillow blanket and a cover-up blanket for Shavasana. And let's begin with a back bend over the bolster. So we've done a lot of standing back bends today, from our Virabhadrasana 1 to our Utthahastasana back bends to our Cobra. So now let's come down to the floor and let our shoulder blades come onto the bolster. Now remember, the bolster could be a smaller blanket roll. If you have a tight thoracic spine, that might be better. If you have a big round bolster, you bring your shoulders onto it and bring your head over onto a block on medium. And your arms can either stretch overhead, palms up, or they can come into a T, just the other side of the bolster. But you don't want the head of your arm bone popping up towards the sky and pressing into your rotator cuff. If that's happening, go a little farther over the bolster, see if you can release the head of your arm bones towards earth. If not, put two blankets under your arms or put your elbows on the bolster and your hands on your heart. So you choose what position is best in your body. If you're short-waisted, you might need a blanket under your pelvis. And if you'd like to, you can open your knees out into a Baddha Konasana and also get a hip stretch. Settling onto the bolster, settling into the breath. Remember that it's relaxation that helps us to unravel tension in the tissue. We release into relaxation, resting into the moment and into our awareness of the movement of the breath. So here, play with rolling your eyes again up under your eyebrows with the eyes closed. And feel for the breath at your diaphragm. Feel for the breath against the bolster. And then taking the eyes in a circle, take your eyes to the left. Breathing into the right side of the rib cage. Really let your eyes work towards the left. And then let your eyes look towards the foot of the mat and breathe into the whole umbrella of the rib cage. Feel how you're working the muscles of the eyes. Now take the eyes to the right and breathe into the left side body. Feel how the eyes are working. Relax the body on the exhales. And then let your eyes return to neutral. And invite a three-dimensional breath. Relaxing you over the bolster on the exhales. And then gently bring your arms in to massage the base of your skull. Those occipital muscles connect into the movement of your eyes. So really massage in at the base of the skull, digging your fingers into the tissue, inviting it to release. You can move up underneath the skull and out to the sides, around and under your ears. Notice if one side is more tender than the others, this will have an impact on the fabric of your body. And then use your hands to help you lift the head and come up. And let's take the bolster long ways on the mat. We're going to do our Salambhasana series before we go into our restorative. So a really nice, relaxed heart opener will hopefully, and some of those twists will help us have the spine open for this Salambhasana. So we'll lay down again on our bolster, ribs supported by the front of the bolster, forehead on the block. And before we even begin, let's roll across our eyebrows and release tension from the head, face, from around the third eye. Really let yourself roll and notice where the tissue's tight, inviting it to release. We think of this fabric as all interconnected. It interconnects through our eye sockets, back to the base of the skull, down the neck. Down into the sinuses. Now coming back to center, root your forearms into the ground, rolling your toes under if that's possible. Press into the arms and feet and lift. Lifting yourself off the bolster. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. Feel into your own strength, reaching crown away from heels. Feeling strong along the front of your spine, even underneath the neck. And you find that three-dimensional breath. Roll your eyes toward your crown again. Feel for the movement of the diaphragm. And release. Release your toes. Bring your hands back, palms down, thumbs out by your hips. Rooting your pubic bone, reach the tailbone for your heels as you float the heels. Float the collar. Lengthen from crown to pelvic floor. You may have to kind of wiggle around a little to lengthen the spine. But keep the pubic bone rooting, the tailbone reaching for the heels to keep the lumbar long, and then lengthen the back of the neck. If you open and lift, let it come from the thoracic spine. Palms down helps you externally rotate the arm bones, but if that hurts, then let the thumbs come down, palms face your body. Fluid breath. Can you gently roll the shoulders here? Become more conscious of the tissue in the back body that's working to help you hold the arm bones up. And then exhale, release your forearms back down, palms around the block, forehead onto the block. Roll the forehead side to side, releasing tension. You may roll up towards the hairline and roll back down towards the eyebrows. Coming to center, rolling the toes under one more time. Root into the forearms and see if you can lift the pelvis, lifting off or almost off the bolster. Staying strong, reaching tailbone towards heels, keeping the back of your neck long. Fluid breath. This is one great core strengthener with the added addition of helping remind the upper body you need bone density. Fluid breath. Let your eyes roll down towards your navel. Fill the upper ribs with breath. And release. One more time, hands back, palms down, thumbs out. Float, the collar open, the shoulder blades strong and wide on the back. Pubic bone grounding, lift the heart, the head, the feet. Salambhasana. Fluid breath. Feel for the spine elongating inside the body on the inhale. Even as you work, relaxing into position on the exhale. Feel for the whole fabric of the body responding to the deep inhale. Relaxing on the long exhale. And release your hands and gently roll back into a supported child's pose. Fluid breath. Now you can stay in supported child's pose if you like, or you can move the bolster out of your way and come into a full child's pose. Invite the breath into the whole circumference of the lowest ribs. Forehead on the floor. We allow ourselves to ground, to release tension from the body, to feel our connection with earth, with the hug of gravity. Walk your hands around to the right if you like and stretch the left side body long. Releasing into the hug of gravity on the exhales. And then walking your hands around to the left if you like. lengthening out and releasing into the hug of gravity. Fluid, three-dimensional breath, stretching the myofascial webbing of the body, creating space inside. Supporting the movement of the lymph, the movement of the energy through the tissue for healing, for vitality in life. Come back to center and floating yourselves up. Let's bring the bolster in again, long ways this time. If you'd like to have your feet up, you could do bolster under you with your legs up the wall or on the chair. I'm going to choose Baddha Konasana today. So I'm going to take a blanket from my pillow, the top of the bolster, and bring the blocks to either side. You could also strap up your legs if you'd like to. And bring a blanket in to cover yourselves up. Bring in your eye pillow if you'd like. So the blocks kind of fold in from either side to support the legs so that we don't come into too deep of a hip opener. Because restorative poses are meant to help us relax the nervous system. So we release onto the bolster, remembering that you could bring your sacrum to the bolster and roll back for a deeper back bend in the low back, or you could put your low ribs at the edge of the bolster and have a longer lumbar. If this doesn't feel good to you, you could also use a lower blanket roll. The hope in this pose is that we open the heart, that the head of the arm bones get to rest back, and then the breath gets to lift the heart center, stretching around the ribs. Move deep into the belly and the low back. As you rest back into this heart opener, feel where you connect your body with earth or cushion. See if you can invite a gentle smile. And release into the good, beautiful parts of your life. Let awareness of this goodness flow through you. Rest into it with the breath. Invite your scalp and your forehead to relax. Relax across your eyebrows and into the sockets of your eyes. Invite the nasal passages to relax and the tongue to release. The muscles of the face and jaw and base of skull, relaxing. Relax down your neck and into your collar, down your arms and into your hands. Invite the relaxation to roll down the spine, to release the rib cage and relax the abdomen. To soften the low back and the lining of the pelvis. To release the pelvis into the hug of gravity. And to relax the legs and the feet. Now come back to mind and heart. See if they can continue to relax into the stream of the good, the beauty, the positive in your own life. Now gently begin to stretch. Feel your breath as you move. and open to this glorious day ahead of us. And as you're ready, slowly bring yourselves back up to a comfortable seat. No rush. I'm going to throw a couple more logs on my fire. Let's close our eyes again in our comfortable seat for a moment. And just notice if all the concentration on the breath today has expanded your breathing capacity or your consciousness of it. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. May we be grounded with our hearts open and our breath flowing easily. Namaste. Thank you for your practice.